世界のみんなとつながろう Bridges across world communities.
Hello and welcome to Bridges Across World Communities, sponsored by NIA, the Nishinomiya City International Association. My name is Floyd.
And my name is Thelma.
And my name is Yoko.
Now, the purpose of this program is to assist English-speaking residents in the Nishinomiya area by providing useful knowledge for daily living and important information for disaster prevention.
This program is broadcast on the second and fourth Saturdays of each month from 12 noon to 12:15.
This month, we'll be talking about Japan's consumption tax, which will be raised to 10% in October.
And in our disaster prevention segment, we'll share some tips about preparing for typhoons.
And our guest for this month is Mr. Joseph Campbell from the USA.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会です。
So Thelma, did you know that the consumption tax in Japan is going to be raised from 8% to 10% on October 1st?
Yes, of course. And we talked about this on the program months ago, right?
Yeah.
And right now, it's a big news in all the media throughout Japan. And I'm concerned about this tax increase.
Yeah, me too. You know, when I first came to Japan, I think it was in 1983, they didn't have any consumption tax or sales tax at all.
Really?
Then a sales tax of 3% was introduced in Japan in 1989. And then it was raised to 5% in 1997 and again to 8% in 2014.
Wow. So why is the government raising taxes again this year?
Well, there's several reasons, but looks like the main one is that Japan is facing a social phenomenon that they call soshi korei ka. I think I pronounced that right.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard about that. It's when you have a combination of low birth rate and quickly increasing number of senior citizens. And you end up with a higher percentage of aged people and a lower percentage of young people, right?
Yeah, that's right. So an increase in the consumption tax is needed to pay for things like social welfare programs, like the national pension system, health care, care of the elderly, and for child support, and it'll also be used for payment for the national bonds.
Oh, I see. Okay. And the last time we talked about this, and we said that 10% tax would not apply to all products.
Yeah.
Is that the same still?
Yep, it's still the same.
Yeah.
Do you remember which products we talked about that were exempt from the increase?
Yeah, I think so. And things like basic food and drink and newspapers publish more than twice, a week and will be exempted. And whereas an alcohol, medicine, and city water and food served at a restaurant be taxed at a new 10% rate.
That's right.
Wow.
And to make things even more confusing, if you don't eat your food at the restaurant or conveni, and you have it delivered or you take it home with you instead, then you'll only have to pay 8% tax.
Oh, right. Okay, so now every time I buy food at a convenience store, well, the clerk have to ask me, where am I going to eat?
Yeah.
Or so they have to know what's the tax to change?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do that.
Okay, that's going to be fun, right?
No.
Yes, okay.
Anyway, so how about this? Have you heard about this kangensaku?
No, what does it mean?
Okay, it's kind of a payback system, and it's kind of supposed to be a countermeasure against the large drop in consumption that retailers and government are worried about due to the tax hike.
Okay, and how does it work?
Well, first of all, it only applies to cashless payment systems like credit cards or smartphone e-payments. But 2% or 5% of any purchase price will be returned to your account in points.
Oh, so you won't get any cash back, but you'll just get earned points, right?
Yeah, you get sort of 5% worth of points when you buy something from a small family business and 2% when you buy something from a restaurant or convenience store.
Wait a minute. How many points do I get if I buy something at a department store like Hanshin, Hankyu, or Daimaro?
Absolutely none. No points.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and the system is kind of put in place to help small family-owned businesses that are having a difficult time.
Okay.
Like restaurants.
Okay. So the percentage of points you receive varies depending on the size of store?
Yep, exactly.
Oh. Well, this Kangensaku system be permanent?
From what I've heard, it will only be for a limited time. In fact, it's also seen as a way to promote spending by tourists by giving them an incentive to pay for purchases with a credit card.
I see. So if I use cash to buy something costing 1,000 yen, so I'll end up paying 1,100 yen when
Yeah.
the tax 10%
Yeah.
is added.
That's right. And if you make a cashless payment for that item, you'll pay the same amount, but you'll also earn a 5% tax return later as points on the credit card or your smartphone account.
Okay. So, but I always use cash to buy things. This system doesn't help me at all, right? So unless I start using a credit card or e-payment.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't. I'm the same. I pay with cash too, so it doesn't help me either. Now, besides this government-sponsored Kangen Saku payback system, convenience stores and credit card companies announced their own programs for returning money to consumers because of this sales tax increase.
Now, that sounds interesting,
Yeah,
Clyde.
it is. Now, some of the programs give you points, others deduct a percentage from your monthly bill, and still others will give you an actual discount at the time of purchase.
Okay.
It's best to contact the convenience store or credit card companies for more details.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'll have to be more serious consumer this time.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm not happy about the consumption tax increase.
Yeah, me neither.
But if I shop carefully and I
Yeah.
take advantage of this by payback program, so
Yeah.
I might be able to avoid paying more than I do now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And after all, the goal of these payback programs is to ease consumers into the higher tax, without drastically reducing all the consumption, which can lead to poor economy.
So the message is consume, but consume wisely.
Yes. はい。頑張ってください。
頑張ります。
Well, welcome back, and we're really happy to welcome this month's guest, Mr. Joseph Campbell from the U.S.
Hello.
Welcome, Joseph.
It's good to see you. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me here.
So what the heck are you doing in Japan?
Well, there's sometimes I ask myself that same question. I came to Japan 3 years ago
Oh.
to marry my wife.
All right.
Wow.
Japanese. Her name was
What?
Keiko Yamamoto. Now it is Keiko Campbell.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, so I came here to marry her
Well, I think that's
and
it.
live here.
I don't think we have any more to talk about then. That's about it. That
Okay.
can't beat that. How you beat
Glad I could bore you.
So, okay, so this is kind of cool. So up until then, where were you living? Up until 3 years ago?
I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I want to make it very clear. Even some people in the United States,
Yeah.
you're from New Mexico? Yes. How come you speak English? It's like, well, New Mexico is in the United States, okay?
So it's totally different
yes,
from the
it's
other.
a state. Just like Hyogo, it's a prefecture. New Mexico is a state.
Why am I not surprised to hear that story?
New Mexicans can be, or not New Mexicans, Americans can be never mind.
Now, I hear that the big food in New Mexico is Tex-Mex.
I wish you didn't say that.
Why?
It's New Mexican. It's
Yes,
not
totally.
Tex-Mex. Okay, you're trying
Explain.
to push my buttons. All right, I got it.
Okay, well,
No, Tex-Mex. I understand Tex-Mex. Okay, I got it. You
Okay.
know, like fajitas is Tex-Mex and everything. But
Well,
New
what's-
Mexican is distinct.
Like what?
Carne adobada.
what is that?
Wow.
Pork in red chili.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And then, with some rice and some Spanish rice. I can see why some people call it Tex-Mex, but
Yeah.
as a New Mexican,
Yeah.
that just kind of...
I don't think people, not only in a lot of the States, but here are familiar with that kind of food. Maybe you should open a restaurant or something.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Why?
Because we are. And my wife and I, it's called KJ's Kitchen. Trying not to get free advertising here. But
We'll charge you later.
we have researched this. There are some Mexican restaurants, like in Tokyo, Osaka. We will be the only new Mexican restaurant in the United States.
In the United States?
I mean, in
Yogo,
Japan.
Japan.
I'm so
Wow.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
We're gonna
Is it going to be
we're
initial?
But, you know, if you want to call it Tex-Mex.
No, I don't. I'm just giving you a hard time. So,
I'm sorry, in Japan.
So, no, is it in Nishinomiya or where is this going to be?
It's going to be in Nishinomiya.
And when are you opening up?
We're aiming for an October 5th starting date.
Wow. We're going to be good.
And whereabouts in Nishinomiya is this?
Just right off the JR Nishinomiya station.
Ah, okay.
The south side.
Okay, I'm looking
probably,
forward
Yeah,
to
on
it.
the south. On the
I'm looking
south
forward to
exit.
this.
Yeah, it's just right there.
So it's you and your wife who are starting this up. Who's the cook?
Correct. Both.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Both.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think we should go there.
You should go.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, that's kind of exciting.
Everybody's welcome.
Now, what's it like opening a restaurant in Japan? It must be a lot of paperwork and a lot of even more difficult than in the States, I would assume.
Well, I used to manage a restaurant in the States, but that restaurant was already well established.
Like up and running
You know,
kind of
so
thing.
I could just go in there and just boss people around and say, do this, do this, do that. Starting a restaurant, whether it's in the United States or in Japan, it's a lot of work. It's just like any business.
You know, I've been to a lot of different ethnic restaurants in Japan, and it always seems they start out really authentic, and then they seem to change their recipes or whatever you call it to kind of cater to the Japanese taste. Did you fear something like that happening with you guys?
We're not going to let that happen.
Yes. Okay.
Keiko is I love New Mexico, don't get me wrong, but she loves New Mexico more than I do. So if I tried to start messing with the flavor and make it okay, this is for the Japanese, I think she would probably put a knife in my chest. I mean, that's extreme, but she's not going to let that happen. She is very New Mexican.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
She is very New Mexican.
So, change topic, boy.
Yeah.
So, how do you like Japan, Joseph?
I love Japan. I love Japan. Yeah. There are, some things. I'm always worried about getting killed by a person on a bicycle.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? That's a new
Going
story
all
for
over
me.
the place.
That's a new story for me.
Do you ride a bike here?
No.
See, you sound like my wife. She doesn't.
I
She says the
walk.
same thing.
No, I walk. I ride every now and again. But, there's sometimes, it's just like, and I have to be like a superhero or something, man. I'm just like, what's going on here?
It's funny.
But I do love Japan. I do love
That's
Japan.
interesting.
The natural beauty and the art is magnificent.
You know, we haven't even touched on a lot of things. We're already out of time, so we got to have
I'm
you come.
sorry.
We got to have you back next month.
I'd be
And we'll
glad
pick
to.
this up, and we got a lot more to talk about.
I'd be glad to.
Great. Okay. See you next month.
防災情報です。
Well, fall is here, which means it's still typhoon season in Japan.
That's right. And now a good time to prepare for the coming storms with these important tips.
Okay, tip number 1. Keep up to date with the latest information on approaching typhoons from radio, TV, or the internet.
And stay indoors while the typhoon is approaching, and of course during a typhoon.
Store extra water and food supplies in case of water outages and disaster conditions.
Keep a battery-operated radio handy and extra batteries.
And outdoor objects such as plants, gardening tools, and so on, those should be brought indoors because they can become dangerous projectiles if they get caught up in the strong winds.
Clear the drainage areas around your house to help prevent flooding.
Keep safe by being prepared.
NIA has a couple of announcements for this month.
Our fall semester Japanese language classes will be starting soon. The evening group lessons will begin on Wednesday, September 25th, and will be held from 6:30 to 8 p.m.
And a free consultation service for foreign residents will be offered tomorrow on Sunday, September 15 from 1 to 4 p.m. Advice on legal issues and make a reservation, please call ahead for interpreters.
Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you enjoyed our program.
If you have any comments and requests, please send them to Nishinomiya Kokusai Koryu Kyokai.
Our phone number is 0798-328680. And our email address is nia@nishi.or.jp.
提供は西宮市国際交流協会でした。
Have a great weekend, everyone.